works for American University at Sharjah, and Yerin Yhee, today he will give her lecture, Human Machine Lens, How Generative AI Shape Tourist Decisions. And Yerin Yhee earned her PhD in Tourism Hospitality Management at Kyunghee University, College of Hotel and Tourism Management at Kyunghee University. Her research interest focus on potential impact on technology, on tourist behavior and managerial strategy in response to online reviews. Her research has been published in leading academic journals. Very happily, her doctoral paper just accepted yesterday in tourism management. The impact factor 12.4 is a top score of social science, probably, including business journals. Her research published on leading academic journals, including Annals of Tourism Research, Journal of Tourism Travel Research, and International Journal of Hospitality Management, and Decision Support System, and Information Processing and Management, and Tourism Management. Okay, I'm going to stop here. So, Stacey goes to you.
Yes.
Okay, here you
Yes.
go. Good.
Okay. I'll share my screen. Yes. So can you see?
Good.
Okay, very good. So thank you for having me here today, even it's 5 a.m. in Dubai, as already Dr. Koo mentioned. And thank you for the nice introduction. And Dr. Koo already mentioned, I was so happy that our paper was just accepted in the tourism management. So today's topic is the human machine lens, how generative AI shapes tourist decisions. So as Dr. Koo introduced I'm Yerin Yhee, and okay, yes. Yes. As Dr. Koo mentioned, I completed my PhD in tourism, especially from Kyung University this February, actually. So I consider myself not very different from you. So please don't hesitate to ask me any questions whenever you'd like. So it's okay whenever you interrupt me during this presentation. So please feel free to ask anything. So currently, I'm a postdoc at the School of Business Administration at the American University of Sharjah. And the Sharjah is a really close city to the Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. So I believe you guys are not familiar with this city, Sharjah, but the Sharjah is really close from the Dubai. It takes only 30 or 40 minutes by car. So I currently, as I mentioned, I'm a postdoc researcher in the American University of Sharjah, and my school is a leading institution in the Gulf region offering world-class American-style liberal arts education. So it is highly ranked globally and provide undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral program as well across various disciplines. So before we start, we are moving to the research. Let me introduce my research interest. So my core research interest is technology-driven transformation in tourism and hospitality. So under this umbrella, there are three specific research topics: artificial intelligence and digital transformation. Conducting this kind of a research question, there is a core research question in my mind. So how do emerging digital technologies such as generative AI or the online platforms reshape consumer decision making and service management in our field, and when and why are these effects amplified or weakened. So this is my research area and then my core research question when I'm doing the research. So for resolve this kind of research question, I usually conduct the quantitative behavior method, such as experimental design, business analytics, or quasi-experiments based on the econometrics. So before I go into the details of today's studies, I'd like to briefly explain the concept of experimental research. So because all of the studies I prepared are based on the experiments. So I believe the understanding the basic of the experimental design is really helpful to understand the research what I prepared. So after that, I will introduce each study in more detail. So here are the contents of today. So let me start the basic concept of the experiments. So, oh, I'm sorry. So what is the experiment? Have you ever experienced the experiment or have you ever conduct the experiment designed for your study? Not yet. Or almost a master student? Okay, so based on the definition from the literature, experiment is a study in which an intervention as a treatment is deliberately introduced to observe its effect. So in this definition, there are the key words in here: intervention and effect. So let's think about a simple example. If we study hard for an exam, our score will usually go up, right? So in this case, the amount of studying is what we call the cause, of course, right? And the exam score is the effect. So in this case, we can say that studying or the amount of studying has an effect on exam scores, right? I so the experiment shows that the core keyword is cause and effect, and the main purpose of the experimental design is to identify the causal relationship, like this example. So uh, I believe that most of you have already taken the course in research methodology. No? Okay, so when we first learn about the research methods, the research methodology course, we usually encounter surveys or the structure equation modeling, the SEM. But here's the question: how is an experiment different from those methods? The surveys or the SEM. So let me explain more detail using the example. So just imagine there are a relationship between study and course, like the example what we just discussed. So in a survey, we need to measure the IB, the amount of the studying, and DB, dependent variable, the score, right? So for doing the survey, we should measure these two construct, two variables. But actually, in the experiment, we do not measure the IV, independent variable. We manipulate this independent variable. So the main differences between survey and experiment is whether we manipulate or measure the IV, in this case, amount of study. So let me explain more detail. So if we just imagine, if we conduct the survey study, we should measure the amount of study like using this kind of measurement item. How many hours you study in a week? So participants can answer like this: 10 hours or the 3 hours in a week, or we can use the the 7 Likert scale, right? Seven Likert scale. So the one mean is no, I don't study in this week. 7, I strongly study in this week, like that. But actually, in the experiment study, we should manipulate this independent variable using like this treatment. First, we start with our independent variable, as I already mentioned, which in this example is a studying, amount of studying. So we can manipulate the amount of studying for each example, 10 hours versus 0 hour. Next, participants are randomly in here assigned into two groups like this. So one group is given the treatment, meaning they study for 10 hours in here. The another group is control group, which studies for 0 hours. After that, we can measure the dependent variable, which in the case is the exam score, right? So in this case, the treatment is amount of study. That means is the time of study, right? So conclude that studying has a causal effect on exam performance. So that is the key strength of experiments. By manipulating the independent variable, in this case, the amount of studying, and randomly assigning participants, we can identify a causal relationship. So as I already mentioned, this is the main purpose and the main strength of experiments.
Okay,
So,
Dr. Lee,
yeah,
good. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but probably most of our students in this room not very much familiar with manipulation.
okay,
So measurement scale,
yeah,
usually we use a 7 Richter scale, 5
right,
Richter scale, like
right.
how many hours, uh,
We
question
start,
1, question
right,
2, how many do you report? Question 3, something how long study? Question 4, how much you what kind of tool sort of things. So we use this is items, and
yes,
we measuring the 7 scale. There
mhm,
is measurement, right?
yeah, right.
And
So
manipulation is this one,
yes, this one. So I
this one,
will,
control
yes,
group,
right.
treater. Uh,
So I will explain more details. So the in here, you should, I mean, the in here, the main, the concept of the experiment is to manipulate the IV. Of course, in the survey, we should measure the IV, I mean the study amount, but actually in the experiment, we should manipulate the independent variable. So that is the main differences between survey and experiments. So let me explain more detail about this manipulation. So of course, there are two types of experiment, but we mainly conduct the online experiment. So compared to the field experiment, online experiment is more easier to run, but let me explain more detail. For instance, a field experiment is conducted in a real world setting. So we should bring our participants in the real setting, such as real restaurant, real hotel, or the real travel environment. What else? So for instance, we might observe how people respond to images or make decisions in a natural environment. So the strength of the field experiments is that they capture more realistic behavior, but they can also be more time consuming and harder to control. But compared to the the field experiment, the online experiment is based on the scenario. So that means is we can provide some a specific scenario based on our research purpose to participants. So the online experiments are much easier to run with a large number of participants, and they give us tighter control over the environment. But of course, there are pros and cons in online experiments. They may lack some of richnesses and realism of field studies. So as I already mentioned in the previous slide, we looked at a simple example where studying for 10 hours versus this 0 hours can be directly manipulated, right, as a treatment in the experiments. But here is the question: how we can do this? Manipulate in the online experiments. We cannot actually force participants to study for 10 hours, right? Like the field, such as the field experiment, right? So in here, when we conduct online experiment, how we can do manipulate IV in the online experiment? Just to think about that. So just imagine we are interested in the relationship between employee professionalism and customer satisfaction. So I'd like to set up the manipulation with two conditions, especially in professionalism of employee as IV, independent variables, especially staff versus the general manager. So again, how we can manipulate this variable professionalism of employee in two conditions: staff versus general manager. In online experiments, we use stimuli. So we can use a stimuli that represents a professional employee, general manager, or unprofessional employee, staff. So this is example. As I already mentioned, I'd like to manipulate the IV independent variable, in this case, professionalism of employee. So in staff condition, I can make a stimuli like this. Hi, I'm Rina. I'm a staff of Glad Hotel. Can I help you check in? Like this, right? So how about the general manager condition? I can make like this. Hi, I'm Rina. I'm a general manager of a Glad Hotel. Can I help you check in? Right? So in here, so these are the stimuli in the online experiment when I want to manipulate the IV, professionalism of employee. But in here, the most important point is that apart from the variable we want to manipulate, in this case, whether it is a staff member or a general manager, everything else must remain exactly the same. As you can see in here, right? As you can see in here, except for the treatment in here, a staff versus a general manager, the step picture, the employee or the picture that I use are the exactly same. Right? So as I already mentioned, the most important thing in the online, the making the stimuli, except for the treatment, the stimuli must be exactly the same. Okay. So, of course, until so far, I mentioned about the core concept of the online experiments. And not only this core concept, we should think about the type of a variable as like this. So I believe you can figure this out easily. Here, I believe you already taken the research methodology courses for understanding moderator and mediator. So I believe you can figure this out easily. So here, just imagine, we see the employee professionalisms, right, influences the customer satisfaction. But sometimes this influence does not happen directly, right? So there can be something in between in here. Right? So between moderator and mediator, which one is in here? Moderator or mediator? Of course, mediator, right? So now look at this part. Professionalism still affects satisfaction, but the strength of this relationship may change depending on another factor, right? So what kind of a variable, what kind this factor could this be? In here between moderator and mediator? Of course, moderator, right? So let me explain more detail with the example. So in case of the mediator, just think about that. The professionalism of employees can influence the customer satisfaction as I mentioned, right? But often this influence is not direct. Instead, it goes through a third variable, and which we call a mediator, right? For instance, employee professionalism might first improve customers' trust as mediator, and that trust then leads to higher satisfaction. So the mediator explains how or why an independent variables influence a dependent variable. So that's why mediator is really, really helpful to understand the mechanisms between IV and DV, right? So how about the moderator? In this case, the professionalism of employees still affects satisfaction, but the strength or the direction of this relationship may change depending on the moderator, right? In here. So for instance, if employees are both professional and kind, the positive impact of satisfaction will be much stronger, right? But if professionalism is high while kindness is low, the effect on satisfaction may be weaker. So here, kindness does not explain how professionalism leads to satisfaction. Instead, it determines when or under what conditions professionalism has a strong or weaker effect. Okay, so in experimental design, we can design the moderator by measuring or by manipulating, like the IV. So in here, uh, just I okay. So in here, I just make the moderator as a kindness, like the previous example. So I assume the kindness moderates the relationship between professionalism of employee and satisfaction. So as I already mentioned, we can make these moderators as manipulated variable or measured variable. So let me explain more detail. So if you want to measure the kindness as a moderator, you can use the measurement item, right? Like the studying amount, right? So in here, this is the item for the moderator, I mean the kindness. How kind do you think this employee is, right? So you can answer number one is no, totally not. Number seven, I mean the yes, I strongly agree with this. The employee is kind, right? So this is the way to measure the moderator. But manipulate, in the case of the manipulation, how we can manipulate the kindness in the online experiment is the totally same in the independent variable. We can make stimuli, right? Like this. The left side, this is lower kindness. So you want to check in. What's your name? This is the lower kindness condition. How about the high kindness condition? Good morning. Can I help you check? Can I get your name? Right? So we can manipulate the kindness in the two conditions, such as low condition and high condition, right? So based on the design of the moderator, right? Whether we can measure or whether we can, whether we can measure or manipulate, of course, the statistic method is different. So if you measured the kindness, I mean the moderator, you should conduct a process model. If you manipulate the kindness as a moderator, you should conduct ANOVA analysis. So based on your purpose and then the design of the experimental design, you should conduct the different statistic method. Okay. So yes. So as I already mentioned, we based on the research purpose, we can manipulate or measure the moderate. So let me explain more detailed example when moderator was manipulated, because in the experimental design we mainly use the I'm sorry, we mainly used the manipulated moderator for understanding the interaction effect between independent variable and moderate variable. So as I already mentioned, with the same example, as I already mentioned, As an independent variable, professionalism of employee can be manipulated in the two conditions, right? Staff condition and general manager condition, right? So participants are shown a hotel employee named Rina. So in one condition, in staff condition, she introduced herself as a staff member, right? But in the other condition, general manager condition, she introduced herself as a general manager, right? So this is how we manipulate the variables of employee professionalism in our online experiment, right? But in here, I want to add another variable, kindness, as moderator. So how we can add this kindness of as the moderator? In the low kindness condition in here, the employees speak in a very blunt way, such as I already mentioned, you want to check in, what's your name, like this. However, in the high kindness condition, the employee speaks politely, saying, "Good morning, I'm Rina. Can I help you check in, or can I get your name?" Right? So now we have two variables, right? Professionalism as an IV is partially with two conditions, staff condition and general manager condition. And also we have moderator as kindness in the two condition, low condition, high condition, right?
Okay,
So
here's my question.
yeah,
We say it's two by two experiment design.
right.
One independent variable professionalism,
Mhm.
and we measure it. Professionalism is a step or general manager. There's only different fact between I am Lina, and
Yeah.
I am a step, I am a
Mhm.
general manager. That's manipulation, right?
Right.
And here, kindness, you want check-in. That's very rude, right?
Right.
Very
Right.
rude. But here, can I help you check in? Very politely.
Mhm.
That's manipulation, right?
Right.
So here, high kindness, low kindness means rude,
Rude. Right.
rude.
Yes.
Okay. So we you made this manipulation and then stimuli.
Right.
We
So
would
as I
say
yeah.
stimuli. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So as I already mentioned, except for the manipulation, the variables, in this case, professionalism and kindness, the other situation, the situation or the factors are exactly the same, right? So as Dr. Ko mentioned, hey, I'm in the hi, I'm Rina, or the hotel name or the picture of this stimuli are the same, except for only professionalism and kindness, right? So yes, so now we have two levels of IB, right? Professionalism of employee, right? Staff and general manager, and two levels of kindness, low and high condition. So this design allows us to test not only the main effect of each variable, but also the interaction effect between professionalism and kindness. So that's why we called this kind of research, the experimental design as 2 by 2 factorial design. Okay, so just imagine if I want to add one more level in the kindness, like such as low, middle, high, right? We can make the middle option, the middle condition in the kindness, right? So low versus middle, the medium versus high, right? So how many the cases in this case? How many cases in
Three by
this?
two.
Right, 3 by 2. So
Mm,
6 cases are the stimuli in our
mm.
study, right? Okay, perfect. Very good. Thank you very much. So Not only this, the factorial design, we should consider whether we can apply the between subject or within subject design. So we can also decide whether to use a between subject or within subject design depending on our research purpose. So let me explain more detail. So in our example, I mean the interaction effect between professionalism and the kindnesses, we have 4 cases, right? Because we designed 2x2 factorial design, right? So first case is step by low kindness, right? So in here, a step and then you want to check in what your name is really rude, right? So, but in the case 2, general manager by low kindness. And case 3, step by high kindness, right? Can I help you check in? Can I get your name like this? And the last case is general manager by high kindness, right? We already designed the 2x2 factorial design. So we have 4 cases, right, in the stimuli. So in between subject design, just imagine we recruit 100 participants and divide them into 4 groups with 25 participants in each group. So each group only experience only one condition. So then we compare the satisfaction scores across the 4 groups. The key point of the between subject design is that each participant is only exposed to only one condition, right? We have the 4 groups, I mean the 4 cases. We can randomly assign the 100 participants into 4 cases, right? With 25 participants. So one participant, I mean that each participant can see only one case, right? So this is the between subject design. Compared to the between subject design, this is the within subject design. Here, again, we also recruit 100 participants, but instead of assigning them to only one condition, each participant experience or 4 conditions. So after going through 4 scenarios, they evaluate their satisfaction repeatedly, right? So the key point is that the same participant experience every condition. So that's why, just imagine, that's why the between subject is more powerful, right? Because in case of the between subject, participants don't know the purpose. They can't guess the purpose of the research design, right? So that's why the between subject is more powerful and it is more difficult to get significant result. Okay, so
So
based on
once again, between is like a uh, 철모 구철모
Mhm,
this time, and again
mhm.
1 week later, 철모 구 again.
That
That
is yeah,
within.
within, right?
Okay, between is you and me.
You and me,
Uh,
right? Exactly.
yeah,
Yes,
철모 and Yerin. This
yes, right.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the main differences between the between subject and within subject is that each participant in the between subject design, each participant uh, can only exposes to one condition. However, within subject, the same participant experience every condition. Okay, so but actually, we can also combine these 2 approaches in a mixed design. For instance, we, we recruit 100 participants and divide them into 2 groups of 50. So in here, one group, we divided 2 groups, right? Divided them into 2 groups of the 50 participants. So one group in here evaluated the low kindness conditions, right? But the other group evaluate the high kindness condition. But actually, within each group, participants still experience both staff and general manager conditions, right? So in this case, which factor is designed as between subject? Which factor is designed as the between subject between professionalism and kindness?
Mm,
As I already mentioned, the between subject in between subject, participants can see only one condition, right? So please think about that. In this case, one of the participants can see only one kindness condition, right? Because we divided these participants into two groups based on the condition of kindness, right? So in this case, kindness is between subject and professionalism is manipulated within subject, right? Okay, did you understand? Okay.
No.
If you have a question, of course, yes. I mean that it is really difficult to the deeply understand the experiment design with only one lecture. So the best way to understand the experimental design is to conduct experiments. So if you conduct experiments, you can easily understand this content of my lecture. So if you have a question, please, yes, anytime please, yes, let me know. Please
So
interrupt
in
me.
this case,
Mhm,
if I got into here within subject, there's 구철모 prime
mhm,
구철모. Okay,
mhm.
so within between subject is Yerin and 구철모.
Yes, right,
Uh-huh.
right. So exactly. So in this case, I mean the combined case, I know it's really tricky to, yes, understand at just one time, I mean at once. But in this case, just imagine if you enter this participant, I mean the left side, you can see only the low kindness, right? Kindness condition, right? But if you are assigned to the right side of the group, you can see only the high kindness condition, right? But in this case, you can see the two conditions of professionalism, right? Both of staff and general manager conditions, right? So as I already mentioned, within subject design, you can see all conditions in a variable, right? So in here, you can see the or condition, I mean the staff condition, general manager condition of professionalism, right? So that's why professionalism of employee is manipulated in within subject design. Okay, so yes. So, so if you have a question, please let me know. So yes, but actually in real research, experimental studies are usually reported as a uh, kind of the empirical packages. This means we don't just run only one study and stop there. Instead, we designed a series of studies like the study 1, study 2, and B, study 3, and so on, that together test our research model and hypothesis. The reason why we report experiment as a package is that our main goal is to test the causal effect more clearly. So by running multiple studies, we can check for alternative explanations and rule them out. So this strengthens the validity of our findings. In fact, actually, in top-tier marketing journals such as JCR or the JM, it is really common to conduct not just 2 or 3 studies, but sometimes as many as 10 or more studies within a single paper. So for each study, we need to carefully design the experiment, so that includes creating stimuli which must be simple and clear and exactly the same except for the treatment, as I already mentioned, and designed to create a strong difference. Then we also need to design the survey, including the stimuli and scenario, and making sure participants are randomly assigned, defining the dependent variable, and conducting a manipulation check. So there are so many things, I mean, the elements we should consider when we conduct an online experiment design. So the idea is that each study is one part of the package, and all of them together build a strong empirical evidence for our research model or hypothesis.
Here's
So,
my question for you.
yeah.
This is very much a theoretical explanation,
Mhm,
simple and clear, and
mhm.
equal accepted for treatment, and avoiding much information and make extreme difference.
Yeah.
This is a theory and a theoretical explanation. But
Yeah.
here, probably uh, they may really uh, difficulty to understand actual proceed
Mhm.
this creative stimuli and conduct design. So from your experience,
Yeah.
uh, you you are not familiar with experimental design at first time,
Yeah.
but
Mhm. I mean,
how about your real experience when do begin this uh, the experimental design at first time? So how many times a trial error to do this?
at the first time, actually, at the first time, very, very luckily,
Mm,
I got a appropriate result at just one time. It
mm,
was really, really lucky, really lucky. But I didn't know that it was luck. But after that, I failed a lot of time. I can't count. I couldn't count how many times I failed the experiment. But actually, I mean, the one thing that I can say in this perspective is how can I say? Of course, as Dr. Koo mentioned, these I mean in this slide, the content in this slide are very formal explanation for experimental design research. But actually, if you conduct experimental design in the real world, you should fail a lot of time. So just my tip from my experience is to discuss with your colleague because we are conducting hospitality and tourism the how can I say tourism research, right? So it is really close to our real life. So please discuss your friends or your colleague with your stimuli, right? Actually, the participants are the common people, just the people, right? Like us. So if your friends or your colleague agree with your stimuli, of course, the participants can manipulate it from our, I mean, the stimuli. So
mm,
just one tip or the know-how from my
mm,
experience is discuss a lot with your friends or just a colleague with
mm,
your stimuli. That's my just yes
okay, good.
know-how in
Mm,
perspective of
mm.
yes design.
Do
Okay,
not discuss with your uh,
advisor.
advisor. Talk
Okay.
with your friends and colleagues.
Okay, so actually in my case, I discussed with my sister. So yes, anyway. So okay, so let's move to the second part, the generative AI in hospitality and tourism. So I'd like to introduce two experimental studies that I conducted with Dr. Koo. But before moving on to these studies, let me briefly explain what we mean by generative AI very briefly. So as you already know, the generative AI refers to artificial intelligence systems that can create new content, such as text, images, audio, or even videos based on patterns they have learned from a large data set. So the generative AI represents a paradigm shift as creativity is no longer limited to humans. So its global recognition has grown rapidly with tools like ChatGPT, Cloud, or Croak even featured on the cover of Time magazines. So it is projected to add up to 7 trillion in value, driving about 1.5% productivity growth in the next decade. So generative AI compared to the traditional AI, generative AI focused on creating new, especially tangible content like, as already mentioned, images, text code models, and videos using AI-powered tools. But the main differences between traditional AI, which mainly focused on only analyzing or classifying information, generative AI can actually produce human-like output. So that's why we can write an article with ChatGPT, or we can design an itinerary with ChatGPT, or even chat with customers chatting with customers in natural language, like a human language, right? So that is the main differences between traditional AI and generative AI. So generative AI can be applied across different modalities, text, image, speech, and even code. But regardless of our modalities, generative AI has strong power, the powerful potential to apply HNT, our industry, of course. So for instance, the generative AI is already being widely applied in the hospitality industry, as you already know. So this includes chatbots for customer service, or the generative AI travel recommendation, or destination marketing materials. So, or the language translation tools that help hotels or the airlines communicate with international travelers seamlessly, or the chatbots are now used by many hotel websites to provide customer support to answer questions about reservations or facilities and what else, right? So even virtual tour guides and AI itinerary builds are emerging. So emerging to allow customers to explore hotels or plan trips before they arrive, right? So generative AI already applied in our industry. So AI is no longer a futuristic concept. So it is already shaping everyday operations in hospitality and tourism. So both studies that I want to introduce are directly related to today's topic, how generative AI is changing service management and consumer decision making. Actually, because generative AI is already being widely applied in our industry, there is a growing need for new strategies and deeper understanding how we can use generative AI for making the deeper experience of customers, or how we can manage the cost, manage the service like this. So that is why studies like these are particularly important to help us grasp how AI is reshaping customer experience and to guide future practice in our field. So based on my research core question, study 1 examines how generative AI influenced destination marketing, while study 2 looks at how customers respond to secondary information generated by AI. So let's move on to the study 1. The study 1 is about the AI-powered destination marketing. So this paper is recently published in the JTR, the top-tier journal in our field. But in the study 1, I will explain more detail how the experimental design we just discussed was actually applied in the research. So yes, so let's move on to study 1. So before we officially start to the study 1, let me ask this case. So please imagine the DMO-A, especially a DMO, provide this kind of travel image, the left side. However, the DMO-B, even the location of the travelers are the totally same, DMO-B provide this kind of travel image. So the left side, DMO exclude the people. They only provide the images like the scenery image, right? But actually the right side, the DMO-B provide the images with people, including human element, right? So just imagine, which DMS marketing is more attractive to you? Which one is more attractive? A or
B,
B? B?
B,
Thank
B.
you very much. Right. So literature said the DMO-B, the images, including people, are more attractive, more powerful to attract potential customers. So this is because of social presence theory. Based on social presence theory, traditional advertising literature indicates that images, including people, evoke a feeling of being there. So this leads to emotional contagion among potential visitors, which in turn results in a stronger preference for the destination, right? So as literature said, as already mentioned, the images with a people, with human elements, are more powerful effect on the attraction of destination. The destination marketing, right? But however, nowadays in a new era of generative AI, if generative AI generate the image, this strategy, traditional strategy, is still powerful in perspective of generative AI generated destination marketing images. So this research is about this question: how generative AI reshaped the DMO's traditional destination marketing strategies, such as high social presence. High social presence means images with people, with human elements, like right side picture in here, right? So in real case, DMO widely applied generative AI for attracting potential visitors like this. So I'm not sure you guys have seen this video. This is video from KTO, Korea. Can you hear the sound?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay.
So
Try
how
to.
can I?
Adrian Rim, can you make sounds?
How can I? How can I share the sounds as well? No. Oh. The share is stopped, right?
Stop.
Okay, but I think share computer sound the stereo. No. Okay, just let me try this. No, I don't think so. Okay, it's okay. Just
Okay, good.
Okay, you can
It's
hear
coming.
me? Okay.
It's coming, but no sounds.
Okay. But you can see the video.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a video about the how can I say, the KTO provide this video for attracting the international tourists by providing the imagination of the very famous artist. So this is a view of the very famous artists, like such as Van Gogh or the Monet, when they see the Korea. So they combined this very famous artist style with the Korea scenery. And then they created this video using the generative AI. Okay, so you can see that this video through the YouTube channel of the KTO, Korea Tourism Organization. So with this video, the KTO generated a lot of buzz and also very attractive, significant interest from international tourists. So as I already Okay, so as I already mentioned, the generative AI has transformed the destination marketing in our field, and it enables persuasive and innovative visual contents like this video for pre-consumption engagement. Since the social presence, the images with people enhance the emotional connection and being their effect, so visual content such as photos, videos, human elements strongly influence tourist perception and choices. So the rise of AI-driven content creation challenges traditional marketing principles, particularly the effectiveness of high social presence. While generative AI offers a revolutionary technological-driven innovation, perception of its mechanical, automatic, or the potentially unethical introduce concerns that might compromise the effectiveness of traditional methods used in creating and promoting tourist destinations. So the capacity of generative AI technology to run and generate new contents based on users' personal data raises significant privacy concerns. So in here, like this, the traditional benefits of social presence in destination marketing change depending on the source of recommendations, right? So the DMO versus generative AI. However, real research has examined how AI-driven suggestions with high social presence, in this case, images including people, affect potential tourist perception. So the literature in hospitality and tourism focusing on destination marketing has typically emphasized the type and roles of high social presence and its effectiveness as a tool in travel recommendation. So that is the research motivation in this research. So this
Okay,
is
Dr.
the,
Lee,
yeah,
I would like to address one more time. Please go back to the slide, previous slide.
yeah, here.
Once more, one more.
Mhm.
Okay, students, Dr. Lee, she mentioned the social presence. This is a theory, whether with people or without people. Okay, with people, that means social presence.
Yes, high
Without
social presence.
people, that means no social presence.
Mhm.
So traditionally, with people visual contents influence tourist perception. It's positive, very positive. So we choose image B with people. But suddenly, emergence of AI and AI apply for destination marketing, and we assumed, Dr. Lee, we are probably next slide.
Oh,
Next slide, please.
yep. Okay.
Next slide, she says this one, mechanical, automatic, potentially unethical. So AI actually generative contents, and we like to social presence, but AI if produce with people image, that's mechanical, automatical, and unethical. That's the point we attempt to research question with AI paradigm and AI paradigm shift. So a student must find out the very slim research question, not broad research question, very slim and detailed research question, just like between AI and before AI, after AI, and how traditional, way of DMO marketing will be changed because of AI, but must be changed opposite way. That's the key. That's the finding, and that's a very interesting, point. If the AI and the before and after same, or traditional and now with AI is the same, that's not an interesting finding. That's why her paper accepted in JTR is opposite outcomes because of AI. Okay.
Yeah. So as Dr. Ku mentioned, this paper's the key point is that the backfire of generative AI in perspective of the traditional destination marketing. I mean the high social presence. So Yes. So this is the research purpose of this research. So this research aimed to explore the interplay between generative AI and privacy issues by examining how privacy justification in travel recommendations affect the dynamics between social presence and potential visitors' privacy concerns. So based on this research purpose, we proposed these two research questions. Now the theoretical background. As I already mentioned, the social presence refers to the sense of warmth, sociability, and human connection in mediated communication. So it's really helpful to users to feel closer, engage more deeply, and better understand the digital content. So in the tourism marketing, social presence, especially high social presence, plays a crucial roles that images featuring people can create emotional bonds with potential visitors. So high social presence can even trigger emotional contagions, allowing viewers to feel as if they are there, being there, which enhance trust and attachment to the destination. However, we should think about that. Its effects are not always positive. For instance, based on the literature, in collectivist cultures, a high social presence can suppress complaints because individuals prefer harmony over conflict. So it can also increase impression management concerns leading to dissatisfaction. This finding highlights that social presence is highly context dependent and must be applied carefully, especially in the new era of generative AI. So in AI-powered destination marketing, images with human elements can raise privacy concerns, right? Instead of building emotional engagement because of the natural nature characteristic of generative AI, mechanical, automatic, or unethical. So generative AI learns from personal data. So this creates ethical and privacy risk, often leading to consumer skepticism and distrust, right? So poor privacy management undermines trust in both technology and service providers. So that's why many companies provide that privacy justification. Privacy justification means clearly explaining why and how personal data is collected, used, and protected. So I'm sorry. It ensures transparency and gives users a sense of control and consent. Clear justification reduces the feeling of vulnerability and builds trust in AI recommendation. So in the real case, many companies use the user rights or the copyright or the Creative Commons license as privacy justification. So based on this theoretical background, this is our research model and hypothesis. So as I already mentioned, for more deeper understanding, I will explain more detail in each hypothesis and the research design, the empirical design of each experiment. So in here, the study one for the test the hypothesis one, this is for two-way interaction effect between social presence and source. So in here, we'd like to test the impact of social presence depends on the source of recommendation. So if the source is generative AI, high social presence will actually lower satisfaction and destination image compared to an official website, right? So in study two, for conducting two-way interaction between source and the privacy concern, under high social presence, the effect of privacy concern also depends on the source of recommendation. With generative AI, visitors who worry about privacy will show lower satisfaction than when the source is an official website, right? And study three. In study three, we'd like to conduct the two-way interaction effect between privacy concern and social presence. So in AI-powered recommendation, there is an interaction between privacy concerns and social presence. So when privacy concerns are high social presence will further reduce the positive image of destination. Lastly, in study 4A and 4B, for investigating hypothesis, fourth hypothesis, we conducted three-way interaction effect. So the privacy justification can moderate this effect. In this case, the clear privacy justification reduced the negative influence of privacy concerns, especially under high social presence in AI-generated recommendation. So I understand it is quite complicated to understand this research, but let me
Quite
explain more.
complicated. Quite complicated.
Okay.
Back,
So
back, please, back to the slide.
But I think if you see the result with together this hypothesis, you can easily understand. The more easily
Okay,
understand.
please, previous slide.
Okay, this one.
Okay, this one.
This is the conceptual research model
Okay, this
integrating
is conceptual research model. She
yes,
designed the social presence without people, like a step and general manager. There's
right.
with people without people. There's one. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's just comparison between.
Yes,
And
between.
another one is privacy concern.
Mhm.
She's designed another one is private concern is IV, private concern high and low, right?
Actually, the privacy concern, I will explain more detail in the later, but in here,
Okay.
privacy concern is measured variable.
Okay, I
Measured
see.
variable.
And
So, mhm,
official website, just uh like a 한국관광공사,
mhm.
Korea Tourism
EMR.
Organization is official website.
Yep.
And generative AI, that means it's just very similar with the official website, but AI generative the website,
Yeah.
right? That's the source.
Yes.
Oh, this
So
one
I'll
is 2 by 2.
yeah,
This one is 2 by 2. No, this is measurement.
measurement.
Uh,
So
this one
the
is 2 by
by
2.
two.
Six.
Yes.
There's a
Yes. For
series.
con right, exactly.
Okay.
Right, right.
So
So yeah, oh yes. So I think
this
if
is
I
operation model.
yes, this is
Okay.
operation
You
model.
separate each study 1, 2,
Right,
3, 4.
right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
So
this
as
is
our
very, very important. Yeah, students, you must understand the conceptual model, how she illustrate the overall image, overall, study, and then she analyzes each study by operation model, one, two,
Mhm.
three.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Mm.
Right. So I prepared the stimuli for each studies. So I think with the stimuli, you can more easily understand what I did in this
Mhm.
study. Okay, so this is the table for overview of empirical design, and we conducted 5 empirical the experiments to examine the hypothesis with a total about the 1,000 online panel through cloud research. So all participants were randomly assigned to each experimental condition, especially we conducted between subject design. So scenario and measurement and the manipulation check items are developed, of course, based on the literature. So I will explain method and result together for deeper understanding. So in study one, the study one is for understanding interaction effect between social presence and source of the recommendation. So as I already mentioned, the source of recommendation was manipulated in the 2 cases, right? So the official website and generative AI. And social presence is also manipulated in the 2 cases. So low social presence, that means without people. High social presence, that means is with people. So as I already mentioned, so study one is designed 2 by 2 factorial design, right? So that's why we had 4 cases, 4 stimuli in this study one. So the result is like this. The pattern of the overall image of destination and satisfaction are very similar. In this graph, you can see the result, especially the planned contrast result. In here, when the source was generative AI, of course, both the satisfaction and overall image, you can see my mouse, right? So when the source was generative AI, the images with people here did not improve the overall images or satisfaction. In fact, the rating were almost the same as image without people, both overall image and satisfaction. However, when the source was official website, high social presence with people condition worked as expected. So images with people lead to higher overall images and satisfaction compared to the images without people. So the key takeaway in here is high social presence showing people in the image was only effective when the recommendation came from the official website, not AI. So when it came from the generative AI, this traditional strategy backfired and failed to increase positive perception, right? So traditional marketing strategies said high social presence, I mean the images with people always have more powerful impact to attract people, right? However, when it came from generative AI, this traditional strategies doesn't work.
Mm.
So in the case two, the study two is for interaction effect between the source of the recommendation and privacy concern. As I already mentioned, privacy concern was measured with 4 items based on the literature, like these items. So since this moderator is measured, so I conducted a process model, not ANOVA. So this is the result. So overall, privacy concerns show a significant effect, and the interaction between privacy concerns and source of recommendation was also significant. So in here, when the recommendation came from official website, the people with high privacy concern actually reported higher satisfaction than those with low privacy concern. However, when the recommendation was generative AI, the pattern was reversed, right? So the people with low privacy concern in here showed higher satisfaction, while those with high privacy concerns were less satisfied. So the key takeaway is this. Study 2 supports study 1 by showing that privacy concerns shape how people respond to AI versus official website recommendation, especially under higher social presence. Individuals with high privacy concerns reacted negatively to AI content, but positively to official website content. So the study 3, this is for understanding interaction between social presence and privacy concern. Interaction effect between social presence and privacy concern. So the privacy concern and the social presence are totally the same with the previous studies, but actually we conducted this study 3 in only AI generated condition. So in the study 3, their interaction, between the social presence and privacy concern was significant, supporting H3. So here's what we found in here. For participants with low privacy concern, social presence worked as expected, right? So if the people do not care about the privacy concern, with people images are more powerful in overall image, right? But actually, for the participants with high privacy concerns, the effect reversed. So their overall image was worse when image included the people and more positive when images excluded people. So that is the reversed pattern compared to traditional strategies in destination marketing. So the study 3 that privacy concerns are critical factor. So when concerns are high, the traditional benefit of social presence disappears and even become negative in the context of generative AI generated recommendations. So the
So
last
that means, excuse me, that means if okay, if I see the image with people
Mhm.
generated by AI,
Mhm.
I don't like it because I highly concerned about the privacy,
Privacy. Right. Right.
right?
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
point. So
Yes.
usually official website, we like more social presence.
Mhm.
People and destination image.
Yeah.
We like that because more actively, highlighted, and we're watching the people travel activity in
Mhm.
like a bookshop mall or something like that. But that image, if AI generated, then we don't like,
We don't like it.
especially for concerned privacy.
Right. So until so far we found the privacy concerns are a critical factor as a reason why people don't like the images with
Mhm,
people
mhm,
when generative AI generated the images.
mhm,
So that's why we conducted several experiments as a
mhm,
series. So
mhm,
that's why we should do the empirical packages
mhm,
using the many studies. So yes, so until so far, as I already mentioned, we found the privacy concern is the main reason why people don't like the images generated by AI, right? So if how we justified this privacy, people like the images generated by AI. So that's why we added the privacy justification as a third moderation in this case. So in study 4A, we investigated the interaction effect, especially three-way interaction effect between among social presence, privacy concern, and privacy justification in only AI-generated condition. So as you can see in here, I'm not sure you can see the exactly what in here. So the without justification, there is no any comment about the privacy. But in the with justification condition, we added the announcement like with images that have Creative Commons licenses. The Creative Commons license means about the justification you can use this kind of images. So with this privacy justification, people can believe this kind of the images, I mean, including people. So in study 4A, we tested whether privacy justification changes the interaction between social presence and privacy concerns on satisfaction. So social presence and private concerns both had significant main effects and more importantly, the three-way interaction was significant, supporting H4. So in here, you can see when privacy justification was provided in here, even when human elements, I mean, the negative effect of privacy concerns disappeared. So satisfaction stayed stable even when human elements were included with people like this. However, without privacy justification, the interaction effect was not significant. That means visitors with high privacy concerns were still less satisfied with AI-generated recommendation. So the key takeaway is this. Providing clear privacy justification can reduce the negative effect of privacy concerns. So it is really helpful to maintain satisfaction with AI-powered recommendations, especially when high social presence is involved. So case study 4B, in study 4B, we replicated the finding of study 4A with a slightly different design. So participants first lead a privacy policy to strengthen their awareness of privacy setting before being exposes to recommendation like this. So this stimuli is for justifying the privacy policy, like the board's privacy policies follows, so blah blah blah. So this is very helpful for understanding the privacy policy of generative AI. So after they read this privacy policy, they were randomly assigned to conditions with or without social presence like that, but always under privacy justification. So the key results are the interaction effect was not significant either. That means when privacy justification was provided, concerns about privacy no longer influenced how people reacted to social presence in AI-generated recommendations. In other words, privacy justification neutralized the negative effect observed in earlier studies. So that is the key finding of this research. So as I already mentioned, the key finding is in here. First, traditional benefit of social presence do not hold in AI-generated recommendation. Second, private concerns explain why social presence sometimes backfires in AI-powered destination marketing context. Lastly, privacy justification restores trust and stabilize the satisfaction with AI-powered recommendation. So based on this key discussion, we have theoretical implication and practical implications as well. But because of time, I'd like to move to the next study. So study 2 is about the AI generated information. So this study just accepted from the tourism management. So yes. So in case of study 1, we focused on the destination marketing context. However, as I already mentioned, generative AI can create the text, right? So that means generative AI provide the secondary information, right? Okay, let me explain more detail. So before we officially go into the research background, I just wondering, do you think generative AI is closer to a machine or a human? Just to think about it. Okay, good. Then when you use the ChatGPT, do you sometimes say things like thank you or please? Do you
Many
use?
times.
Yeah, many times. Yes, me too. Me too. So, interestingly, the founder of OpenAI once posted on social media telling people not to use this kind of social expressions, thank you, please, with AI. Of course, he said because of the electricity, the cost, but actually in here, we can find very interesting points, right? So, but why do we still say them to AI? How does this perception influence the way people accept AI generative travel information? So this study investigates how individual perceptions of AI, whether they see it as more human-like or more machine-like, affect the way they accept and process secondary information generated by AI. So as I already mentioned, a notable characteristic of generative AI, especially LMM, large language models, enhance information accessibility and usefulness by turning lengthy text into concise, informative summaries, right? So this is especially helpful in context-heavy environments like online review platforms. So TripAdvisor recently launched an AI-generated review summary features like this, and many companies are now promoting similar AI-powered review tools to help users quickly grasp key opinions from reviews. So AI-powered summaries are emerging as a new form of information in the hospitality industry, influencing how potential visitors make decisions. However, while their practical use is growing, current research in hospitality and tourism lacks a deep understanding of how customers perceive and process these summaries. To address this research gap, we applied the GAFA theory, computers are social actor theory, to examine how customers perceive AI-generated review summaries. So, as I already mentioned, have you seen this meme like this? This one. It is really interesting. So, hey Google, please the music please, so that your friends ask to you, why are you being so polite to the AI? So that you said, just in case, like this. So
Hmm.
this meme can makes us to think about, why do we say please or thank you to something we know isn't human, right? So that's exactly the question Gatha theory helps us explore. So based on the Gatha theory, we argue that AI perception, as already mentioned, whether AI is seen as a human-like or machine-like, plays a critical role in shaping perceived usefulness beyond just information transparency. So based on this research background, there are two research problems. First, while AI-powered review summaries are considered useful for decision-making, hospitality and tourism research still lacks a clear understanding of how customers perceive and use them. Second, Gotha theory explained how AI perception affects usefulness judgment, but lacks clarity on when customers perceive AI as a social actor. Therefore, this study addresses this gap by examining contextual factors like review summary balance and readability. So, in study one, we considered about the social presence, the traditional strategies in perspective of destination marketing. In here, we considered the personal characteristics as an AI perception when they perceived the secondary information by AI, generative AI. So this is the based on these arguments, we propose two research questions as follows. And specifically in here, we view the AI-powered review summaries as new information for decision-making of potential visitors. In doing so, we account for key factors such as AI characteristics and contextual factors such as review summary balance and review summary readability. Therefore, yes, this research examines how AI perception as a human versus machine affects the perceived helpfulness of AI-generated review summaries, along with factors such as information transparency and contextual factor. The concept theory explained that individuals naturally treat computers and AI-like social beings, especially when they show human-like traits. So this is our theoretical lens for understanding how people perceive the AI-powered information. However, Gotha theory does not clearly explain when or why people show social reactions to AI, or how these responses differ across users. So, address these limitations, researchers have proposed complementary frameworks for deeper understanding. Especially in case of the generative AI, there is no anthropomorphic characteristic, because just imagine when you use the generative AI, they don't have any arm or the facial expression or anything, any factor like the anthropomorphic the factors, right? So that's why in this case the Gotha theory, the Gotha theory's limitation is really important. So we adapted the prior research interaction framework to examine how human, agent, and contextual factors influence perceptions and outcomes. So we attempt to investigate the interactive mechanisms between three key variables. First is human factor, AI perception as a machine or as a human, and second one is agent factor of AI. So that means information transparency in this research. And lastly, contextual factors. Then in this research, online review summary balance and readability. So here is our research model. So H1 tests the main two interaction between information transparency and AI perception. Especially we expect people who see AI as more human will find the review summaries more helpful, especially when transparency is low. And H2 and H3, including three-way interaction here, explore how this effect H1 changes depending on the contextual factor. So for H2, lead summary balance, positive versus mixed is second moderator, and readability of the summaries is the other second moderator for study 3. Finally, study 4 looks at whether helpfulness mediates the effect of AI perception on users' attitude towards the hotel and their intention to visit. So we conducted 4 empirical experiments to investigate the hypothesis, and the procedure are very similar with the study 1. So this is the main variable in this study. So AI perception as a main moderator was treated as a measured variable. So participants were also asked to answer one question related to their perceptions of AI's human likenesses using an 11-point scale. So 0 means very similar to a machine, 10 means very similar to human. So on the other hand, the information transparency, review summary balance, and review summary readability were manipulated experimentally using different versions of review summaries. Okay, so I will skip more detailed explanation about the stimuli. So let's move on to result. In study 1, we tested whether AI perception moderates the relationship between information transparency and summary helpfulness. So the study revealed the significant interaction among participants who saw AI as a machine-like in here. High transparency lead higher helpfulness rating compared to low transparency. However, participants who perceived AI as human-like showed no meaningful differences between high and low transparency condition. So this suggests that transparency matters most when users don't already trust the AI. So for users who see AI as human-like, the social cues may override the needs for transparency cues. So in study 2, we found a significant 3-way interaction among AI perception, information transparency, and review summary balance on perceived helpfulness. So among participants who perceived AI as machine-like in here, high transparency significantly increases the helpfulness regardless of whether the summary was positive or mixed. However, for those who perceived AI as a human-like, transparency had little effect in the positive balance condition, but made a significant differences in mixed balance in condition. So this finding highlights the significant role of AI perception and how it interacts with content feature in shaping users' decision-making. So it suggests that for mixed or complex content like online reviews, designing AI with human-like qualities may enhance user evaluation even under low transparency. In study 3, a 3-way interaction among AI perception, information transparency, and review summary readability was found. For participants who perceived AI as machine-like in here, higher transparency significant boost helpfulness across both low and high readability summaries. However, in contrast, for those who saw AI as human-like, readability played a more important role. So helpfulness was high when readability was high regarding its transparency level. So this finding reaffirmed the importance of AI perception like study 2. So in study 4, a 3-year mediation analysis confirmed that AI perception influenced visit intention through perceived helpfulness and attitude. Interestingly, the direct path from AI perception to visit intention was negative, meaning the indirect effect through helpfulness and attitude partially offset the negative direct effect. This result show that perceived helpfulness is a key driver linking AI perception to behavior outcomes. So this finding highlights that how users perceived AI, whether as human-like or machine-like, shapes their trust, evaluation, and behavior responses to AI-generated review summaries. So to enhance the effectiveness of such summaries, it is crucial to consider both the design of AI, like the anthropomorphism, and contextual factor like transparency, balance, and readability. So theoretically, this research makes two important contributions. And of course, from a practical implication, this study suggests that how customers perceive the AI can significantly impact their evaluation of generative AI generated summarize. So yes, so far,
Wow.
yes,
Mm,
that's
mm,
all that I prepared for this research seminar.
mm,
So if you have a question, I'm so happy to answer
mm,
whatever.
mm.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. And students, probably you are not familiar with the experimental survey-based experimental design, but which is very impactful to find out causality by manipulating control group and experimental group. In order to do experimental survey-based experimental design, you need to study. However, definitely you need someone who are very well experimental design, and definitely you need help from those researchers. That's improve your research capability. So we provide a very good the teaching program by Dr. Lee for the master degree students and doctoral degree students in November.
Yep.
Okay, November. 6 weeks program. So it's just $100 for registering for students. So from the beginning, she will give a detailed lecture for you how to do the design and also operation, also the actual data analytics. So from the beginning to the end, you will have an opportunity to learning from her about experimental design. It's not so expensive, just $100, and she will help you to do set up that research design and operation analysis together. So it's a great opportunity. Um, I'm going to share that one for you next time. Okay. And any questions? Uh, Once again, she graduated from the Kyunghee University like you. She's now in the American University, Sharjah. She will go another, the stage sooner or later, and like publishing in the top tier journals like TM, JTR, and ATR is is quite tough game. How tough it is? Can you explain?
Ah, okay. Of course, it is really tough to, yes, conduct research. I'm the doing research and the publish our research in the top tier journal because of I think the generative AI, there is no language barriers. Of course, as a non-native researcher, I'm a non-native speaker because I have grown up my whole life in the only in the South Korea. I'm very domestic person. so so that's why I think the generative AI is really helpful for the overcome the language barriers when I doing the research. But actually because of the ChatGPT, there are so many researchers and the very good researchers from China.
Mm,
So that's why it is more tough
mm,
to publish our research in top tier journal.
mm.
So, but I think yes, but there is no any, how can I say that?
There is no real law to
Mm,
touch down the top tier
no,
journalists.
no.
It's definitely skills, knowledge, and tactics, and repeated action. Actually, she started off this survey-based experimental design 2021, 2022.
One, two, maybe yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it it is about the 3 or 4 years, and
Right.
it's from the beginning is not so uh, well, but after publishing one paper and two paper, and she's way beyond the uh, any experimental design these days. That's why I'm writing hard for you. And like Hoss said, these days, South Korean, we are not the language comfortable about English and written English, speaking English. And the Chinese are also same. Uh, so Chinese scholar these days keen on the AI, overcome that language barrier. Think about their population numbers. There's is 20 times larger than South Korea, and that means scholars numbers are 20 times than Korea. So they overcome the language barrier, 20 times large numbers population. That means languages doesn't matter anymore. But it's idea and design and operation.
Yeah. So before launching of the generative AI, I spent a lot of time to check the grammars, especially when I made the stimuli,
Mhm.
because the stimuli is for participant from the US, because
Mhm.
we usually use the cloud research or the MTalk from the USA. So sometimes some participants sent the message to me, your English is not good, so I couldn't
Stops.
understand. But nowadays we can check the grammar or the inappropriate the praise in our stimuli easily
Mhm.
using
Mhm.
with the ChatGPT.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's why that is really effective to make the stimuli or the something like the manipulate these variables like this. So we
Mhm.
can save a lot of time.
Mhm.
Yes, with the ChatGPT.
That's right. So, which means, people talk about a lot the role of AI in expert field, but like healthcare, doctors, accountant, any professional players utilize AI very well for their purpose of the job, which means I think it's because of AI is make people more divide. Someone who are expert on that area, like us, we doing better, faster, speedy than the beginners. So beginners, if you are not understand the research, you can use ChatGPT for your translation, but you cannot use for your research purpose. That means you have to learn from your instructor or your advisor or your colleagues how to do the research, and then using AI for your stimuli design or measurement design or sort of things. So I think AI definitely very helpful, but not for the beginners, for professional. So you should be professional in any other field. That's I understand so far doing research with my colleagues and doctoral students about specific, our research design. Professor, not Mr. Im Hyung-ju, here's my question for you. What do you think about you? You're the expert of the mobility and tourism and the technology companies. So, what do you think about the role of AI in these days?
Of course, AI is being used a lot in the mobility field, but actually, I don't have many experience and information about that AI technology because my major was just tourism. Yeah.
So any other question for her? And she's been to Houston for 1 year when she was in the PhD degree. So there's how can you describe? How can you say the study in U.S. and in Kyunghee University? Your experience.
I think the international experience is needed for just personal experience, not the PhD life. I think there is no differences between the international or the Korean university in perspective doing research. Nowadays, as I already mentioned, there is no any barriers to conduct research, even you are in the Korea or you are in the you are the student from the Kyung University. So like me, as far as I know, there is no any differences between really the international and the domestic experience in the conducting the research. However, just one the good thing for me is for practicing the English or the experience like the international experience like the or if you want to get a job in the academic field you should doing something like the networking in the conference, especially international conference. So in the international conference, you can learn about how we can meet the international people from academic field and how we can continue the communication with the scholars from the international, I mean the world like this. So I think for making this kind of international manner, learning the international manner or the international experience, the overall experience will be helpful. But doing the research, I don't think there is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's very important. Doing a business, we need a network. We need the network, someone who doing some part well, someone who doing some part, the other part well. Anyway, through your academic advisor assist you to do making network with other people. That's very critical point. So anyway, I will share that this one. Wait a moment. Okay, here we go. Where is it? Wait, hold on. Okay. Okay. So this program, she will teaching about experimental design. Can you see this slide? Okay. So I will share this one for you, and she will give her lecture from the beginning, how make the survey-based experimental design start. This is really helpful for you to learn from her. It's a great chance. Okay, and okay, and any other questions? Okay, well,